Recording. Welcome to the Garlic Marketing Show. I am Garlic, and my guest today is your founder, right, Oliver?
Yeah, I'm one of the. There's two of us, two founders, but we're a small team. So, but yes.
Yeah, I saw you're a founder. I wanted to make sure. I was like, I had this brain fart of Headliner, which is an incredible app. We're going to talk about it because video obviously is important. But we're going to talk about some of the unique ways that you can use this with podcasting and really drive up engagement 300 to 1,200%, which is a big number. But first, before we get going, I want a little message from our sponsor. If you're looking for the best way to sell an app or to become an authority or to sell your services, online video is obviously one of the best out there. The problem is deciding which videos to create, how to format them, finding awesome apps like Headliner, who will shoot the videos, who will edit them. That's why you go to storycruise.com. StoryCruise is the ultimate resource from finding apps to strategy to finding videographers and editors, the ultimate resource for business video. All right, Oliver. Well, thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited to talk about Headliner. It's one of those apps that we're using, and we'd love to talk about the things that we're using. And you're joining us from New York too, right? It's a beautiful summer day there.
Yep, it's a beautiful New York summer. It's really idyllic this time of year. I suggest everyone hop on a plane and get here as fast as possible.
And that is sarcasm.
It's very hot. I mean, you're in Florida, so I don't even want to talk about heat, but there's something about being trapped amongst the buildings and the pavement and the rats and the garbage that you just can't recreate elsewhere.
No, you cannot. And also the buildings trap the heat. And I know I live there. It's interesting. And then also not everywhere has air conditioning.
No, it doesn't. But it's fine. It's good. It's good. It's a good place.
But Headliner's there. So Headliner, let's first of all tell people what Headliner is. We'll get a little in some of the tactics towards the end, but exactly what Headliner is.
Sure. So Headliner is an online video platform that for the most, helps people create social videos from their existing content. It's mostly used by podcasters. So you take a snippet of your audio and it'll transcribe it. You can add animations, waveforms, images, actual video, whatever you want, and kind of get that ready for all your different social networks and all the different sizes you may need. And we kind of have streamlined that process and made it super easy.
And which is crucial because of the stat that 90% of social video is viewed without sound, right?
Yeah, that's the stat that I've seen too. You know, it's funny you mentioned that stat because I think the study that I read was we're seeing some kind of initial movement, and I think it might be due to the AirPods. I think more people may be listening now because I have noticed in some of the tests that we run that for the first time ever a couple months ago, one of our videos without captions actually the waveform actually outperformed a caption video, which has never happened before. And so our only guess is that maybe AirPods have kind of helped tip the scales a little bit. But yeah, that captions are huge overall though.
Yeah, we'll talk about the waveform because I think the waveform is interesting too, and these are all tactics that are important. But you were just saying?
Oh no, but I was saying, but yeah, captions are definitely a huge thing, and you should always have captions in your promotional videos for your podcast, 100%.
Yeah, and a lot of the videos are, I don't know if they're, because Facebook's back and forth on auto-playing audio, and I think it might be changing too, because I did notice that when I had my AirPods in, that the audio auto-played, and they might have hacked the system somehow and not told us about it. But I want to take a quick look real quick, and I'm going to share my screen here. And show a couple of these videos just so people can get an example. If you're just listening to this, you're going to have to go to the show notes and click on the link, and it'll take you to the YouTube video. We'll also have some images, but this is one of Mark Marone, famous actor who has a podcast, and he's using Headliner, and boom, 44,000 views, lots of retweets. And the first thing is, how do you do that animation? Right. The first question, but if you're looking at this, I love the way you guys did this and the way they did this, and it makes it look like it's like actually the person's talking, but you're reading the words. And that also, reinforces what they're saying as well. This is really, really cool. And if you guys, almost every podcaster I know uses this. We use it internally. That's why I reached out to Headliner. Where was the moment that you came up with this idea? It seems pretty obvious now, but before this was there, it wasn't obvious.
Right. So, in terms of Headliner, so the original kind of idea of audiograms, I think, stemmed from like an open source project that the radio station WNYC did. And so there's kind of been this thing. There's like a famous article on Dig about audio can never go. It's from years ago, saying that audio could never go viral on social media. And so a bunch of people in audio tried to say, okay, like, let's see if we can make audio go viral. And so from that, it was kind of like these basic audiograms were generated, and it was out there, and you could kind of set it up, but it was really technical and difficult to do. It was actually so difficult to set up. A lot of people would still just use, either really heavy video creation to create these, which, so the access to creating this type of stuff was very limited, right? So we basically saw an opportunity to take the kind of seeds of what was out there and add in transcription and captions and just make a good workflow that was really accessible to everyone. So, well, we didn't like create the idea for these. We've been the ones to make it easy for everyone to use, and then also improved it to kind of keep up with the times.
And I think that's an important thing, because we were talking before the show about it being easy in customer service. Why, this is your second app, correct? Second SaaS venture?
Yeah. We actually had another company previous to this that worked with instead of similarly working with content creators, we were working with bloggers, and we had a WordPress plugin for the WordPress people. Is kind of where it all began in similar fashion, and we made it really easy for them to kind of share content across their blogs and with other blogs. And with that, it kind of came down to building useful products and offering great customer support and helping people improve, get more eyeballs onto their content. And so that's kind of the same thing we're trying to help people do now, is that we're giving them great customer service, helping them get more listeners to their content.
Yeah. And, I love the app, and I think it's really cool, but I really want to talk for a second about this easy, because I think it's an important thing in marketing and business for people to realize, is that now easy is absolutely crucial, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People don't have time for anything that takes a lot of time. And I think a lot of people try and work on making things more robust instead of making them easier. And we've seen it with Google, right? Mm-hmm. How do you work at making stuff easy and making sure that the customer service is at the highest level?
So, in general, we, in terms of ease, we're always focusing on how to make the kind of process better for people. And up until now, we have for making the podcast style audiogram videos, we have a very simple wizard within Headliner that people go in, and it kind of guides them through the process. And that's been pretty good for the last, year and a half or so. But upcoming, we're actually releasing a bunch of new things, because I think people have even gotten more busy over the past couple of years. And so we're kind of building new things into the product that are going to be coming out this summer that allow people to kind of link their podcast into Headliner, and then it'll kind of auto-generate suggested videos for their episodes. So you'll be able to go in, get a little reminder saying, hey, we noticed you published an episode. Here are some projects for you. You'll be able to go in and it'll pre-fill with your templates and all that kind of stuff, so that you can, if you don't have any time in the world, you can at least hit export and then share those videos without doing any work. Or you can kind of use that as a starting point and then finish up your video. So, we've kind of done last month I did about 15 hours of interviews with users, trying to find out like what are the pain points. And the number one thing was I want to make more videos. I want to promote my podcast. I just don't have enough time. And so kind of holistically, that's the problem we're attacking now. And then in terms of customer support, it's just about being available. It's something that almost everyone on our team that isn't writing code is at some level going to be interfacing with our users and people that want to check us out and helping them along. And so it's just kind of being available all the time, which sounds crazy, but it's what we do.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what people expect, right? Service when they want it. They want it to be easy. I mean, we've made this on-demand society, and you got to do it. And it's very interesting. So I mean, when we talk about easy, I want to go ahead and share this because I'm logged in right now and share how what would be the workflow of me going, okay, I want to take this audio and make it into a video.
Sure. So, I mean, the first thing I'd say is you go to the audiogram wizard. That's the blue one on the left. And then you'd have, if you have an MP3 file or a WAV file, you would choose that and put it right there in the in that drop zone area. And then, or you can kind of try this one. This is the demo stuff. So from here, this is a clipper that you can use to further clip. A lot of people will clip outside of Headliner and then just upload the clips, but a lot of people also use this. You can select different times for different social networks on the bottom right, or if you just hit next, you can kind of go to the next step too.
Oh, cool. So yeah, that's nice. Time limit.
Yeah, so it's just kind of presets and it shows you like, hey, you have this much time max to use. I think the demo clip's 32 seconds, so some of the limits are higher, but yeah. So next you can choose an aspect ratio. The most common one is square, and that's because it's versatile for mobile and desktop. And so in general, that's what people choose. But unless they're doing a stories, in which case they'll do a portrait or landscape for YouTube. And then I've also seen on LinkedIn, people will sometimes use landscape too. But so, even though one thing to note is you're choosing the aspect ratio here, but you can actually copy any Headliner project from one aspect ratio to another, and it'll bring those assets over into that other size. So if you want to have all three sizes, you could start out with one and then copy into the others as you go. And you might make some small adjustments, recrop some images, but it kind of gets you going and saves quite a bit of time. So
yeah, and this is huge too. I want to stop here because I think if you're not watching this video, you got to hop on, because I see so many times people don't pay attention to the different aspect ratios on video, and aspect ratio in your video is crucial because you should be making Instagram stories and thinking about different, the past episodes with Craig Ballantyne, who's rocking it on Instagram. He talks about using the different formats. So this is a nice, awesome tool and an easy button for it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And so then after you've chosen that, basically now you kind of set up your basis for the audiogram. So the first thing is the wave style. So if you click on that drop down, you can see we've added a few round ones at the top, but there's a bunch of the kind of standard ones like Blob, which I think is a kind of funny name, but that's the name. And so that you kind of, you can move it around and resize within the box on the right, or you can kind of use the drop down to do so. You can also change the color and the transparency as well. One thing is the wave generation. So if you choose fast, it'll create it quickly, but the wave won't be as like crisp. But if you choose slow, it'll be a crisper wave. If you want to add text, you can do so here. The other thing is you can change the background color or add an image in the background area too.
Nice.
Yep. And then that is for the progress animation bar. I want to say that progress animation was made popular by Gary Vee, but I'm not sure. That's the person that gets all the credit for it. So for that, if you want to add one of those, you can just kind of add that, and it'll kind of create one of those little bars that moves across the bottom of the screen as it plays.
Nice. And then my computer just went into circle of death mode.
Uh-oh.
So, Chrome has not been my friend lately. And this is the problem of doing this live. But I'm going to have to, let me see. Oh, there. It's pulling up the image because I want to put an image in and just show how fast this was to make it. But it is not working. All right. All my files. All right. So let's just see here. Here, let's see. I'm popping up image in there.
Cool.
So, and this is actually a heat map. Cool.
Okay.
So then I hit create project. And, this is all happening live. So within a few minutes, you can be making, I mean, that's a couple of minutes, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah. Sometimes it's faster.
but yeah, I mean, my computer's loading slow, but I'm just saying that if you don't have this much time to make a whole nother video, what are you doing?
Right, right.
You better be making a ton of money. Awesome. And then it has a nice editor here. You can add text. Let's talk a little about the transcript. So you can upload captions.
Yeah, you can upload captions, or if you when you upload the audio, there's a little button you can click to create the transcript as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys do the transcription as well.
Yeah, and we use Google for that. So it's actually Google is. I mean, I think it's pretty much we reviewed a bunch of different options, and for the automated stuff, Google's pretty good for the options out there. And so if there are little edits you need to make and things like that, you can click in and kind of adjust the text.
Nice.
Yep.
And then you can add a watermark and add media, so you can add other stuff into here too. Correct.
Yep. You can add. So yeah, if you go down there, you can there's kind of, you can see the different pro features versus the others, but you can search for different image providers, video providers, and GIFs as well, and add all those to the project, and those will show up on the timeline. But like awesome. A lot of people too, if you wanted to if you need to get something done in a hurry, you actually could just export this video now, and it would be a fully functional, perfectly good video to promote your podcast on social.
Very cool. Yeah, and I mean, these types of videos are being shared more. I know they're being used more, and I see it being used a lot, especially in like the personal development space. People are sharing more, and who's the big one that's been using it a lot? This type of video. I forget the site, but it's like they're all, and like when I scroll through Facebook video, those are the ones that are being engaged. And now it's gotten to the point where I even think I see a video without any of this type of stuff on it. I'm like, what are you doing? Because no one wants to see just a talking head anymore.
Right.
And and I think just even throwing the waveform on there probably gets more, like you said before, it gets more engagement.
Yeah. And the waveform you can throw over video. I mean, it can be over for the people that record like you, their video podcasts, you can have the waveform over that video too, if you want. So you can kind of, it can be, it doesn't just have to be a static image, right? It can be an element to a true video, which I think is where everything's moving anyways. Like, at some point, everything will just be video.
Yeah. I love it. You know what? And I'm going to put that as a quote. At some point, everything will be video. So pay attention to video, people. And if you're not doing it, I mean, this is just such an easy way to start making videos. And we were talking about podcasters using it, but there's other people using these, right? And using it, just uploading videos to transcribe the video, add more elements to it.
Yeah. If people, some podcasters who video their shows will use that stuff, but other people that just need to add, journalists and news organizations use it to add captions to videos they have. And it's all about making video ready for social media, which essentially, like you just said, means like, hey, if you just upload a video in today's day and age, it's not really enough. You need to have captions. You need to have some more animations on top. You need to kind of do things to keep people's attention. You
have to. I mean, it's because people are scrolling and they want to see something beside. I mean, unless you're super hot, they're gonna not stop. And I mean, of course they stop for me, but I'm just kidding. So, and here's a perfect example in LinkedIn. And, if you're listening to this and you're not on LinkedIn, and I think you are making a huge mistake. Even if you're B2C, I think LinkedIn is a place to be, because people are, there's a different conversation going on there. I think there's a huge opportunity. Corey Warfield is on, has 100,000 followers now, gets tons of engagement, but this shows it, right? When was this uploaded? 6 days ago, 947 views, 2 comments, getting engagement.
I mean, a lot of LinkedIn's been, a lot of people LinkedIn just released video, I believe, a year or so ago. I'm probably getting that wrong, but it's relatively new that LinkedIn is pushing video. And that's also an opportunity to get in and be in the first group of people that are out there using a lot of video on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
It's a good spot to be.
And it helps you stand out because in the feed. Because if you're just putting something in there, and I'm willing to bet that LinkedIn is pushing video higher in the algorithm. I know they have live, that they're beta right now. Some people are got the live, some people don't. But this is a fantastic way to easily transcribe. And I think more and more people are using the LinkedIn app. You know, they're sitting around, and I know I get the pop-ups for it too. So this is fantastic. It's a quick, easy way to make engaging videos on LinkedIn. And even if you just want to use yourself, I mean, you do need a strategy around your videos. You can't just make videos, but once you have the strategy, it's an easy way to make this. And you were talking about like some of the stats that you've seen. Talk to me a little bit about that. The stats that you're seeing with your clients and the customers using this.
Sure. So, I mean, some of the kind of, industry studies have shown like videos getting 1,200% more engagement than static images or text, right? We've run our own tests generally on split tests on Facebook and Instagram that videos that we'll pit a video against a static image, but we'll also, we'll split that video up into a bunch of different videos where it's like, here's a video with just a waveform, here's a video with just captions, here's a video with waveform and captions. And so for the most part, the videos with waveform and captions will generally do the best, and anywhere from like 300 to 600, 700% better than the static image stuff. So, I mean, if it's the amount of time to, for an extra, 2 minutes of work, it seems like it's worth it to give it a shot.
Yeah, and it's a great way to pull out clips. And one of the strategies that we use is pull out clips of the podcast and then tease the full podcast. And it's a great way, you can put the full podcast on there too, but it's a great way to tease it and to drive people to other places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for the tests we do, that's one thing I should mention is that we're always testing, because the big thing in podcasting is to get people back to your show. So we always are testing, hey, does the video, which drives the users to click the link in your post? So when I say engagement, it means that people were more likely to click that link in your post and go visit your show versus just leave a comment or something like that.
Yeah, and that's super important. And you obviously want to get more and more subscribers. But I also think, one of the things we're talking about engagement, but I'm going to come back to the idea too that we're reinforcing through modalities. Different modalities triggering different parts of the brain, because you have someone reading and possibly listening and possibly seeing an image at the same time, and that helps to reinforce that overall message. And you get that done in 3 minutes. We just saw, even with a slow computer. Very cool. So where do you see all this going? Where do you see? I mean, what do you see? Obviously, you're going to make it easier for people, but where do you see this happening and the next steps, the next stages in this type of mixed up, mashed up video?
So I think like we have this period right now where we, especially within podcasting, right? It's easy to share, for creators to go out and make these videos, and it needs to be easier so they can get it done, because they have a lot of stuff on their plate. But I think that the next real frontier is around the listeners, right? Like if you're a listener and a fan of a podcast, I know there are some tools out there right now that are working on this to make it easier to share, but it is tough to share an audio clip with someone. It's tough to say, like, and I want to do this all the time. I listen to tons of podcasts. I want to send a little clip to a friend about some sport thing, or to my wife about some parenting thing. And it's just hard to do that. I have to say, okay, like, I could share at this time, but then it's like they don't have the right app or this and that. But video is a kind of universal thing that all messaging apps accept, right? So I think like the next kind of frontier is going to be around not just creators using these video clips to promote their podcasts, but the entire world using, I didn't know I could get phone calls in this booth.
We're taking callers now.
Yeah. But anyway, I was saying, I think the next thing is around for video is going to be everyone who's a fan of a podcast using video to promote it and to share it, right? Like instead of just saying, hey, I like this this podcast or this part of the podcast, just saying like, hey, this is the part I like, and sharing it. And it's not just promoting to the world, it's also messaging to friends and family.
Yes. And that's a really interesting thing. I didn't even think of that aspect of it, but now you say it, because I listen to audiobooks all the time, and you're like, oh, I want to share that. Oh, it's not the easiest thing. You can clip it and like, I gotta stop. But I think this is fantastic because it makes those clips much more shareable.
Right.
And it's a great way to think about it, because that's what you ultimately want people to do, is to share the content. And fantastic. So what, when it comes to these, you don't have to tell me specifically, but I'm going to ask you, which is some of the favorite ones that you've seen, some of the favorite uses that you've seen of Headliner, or the coolest uses.
So like, other than the normal kind of stuff we have on our gallery page, which is, it's going to be examples of well-known podcasters and, that kind of stuff.
Pulled it up here. Here's
yeah, other than all that kind of stuff. And I don't have example. I don't think I can show them to you per se, because I don't know where they ended up. But there are people have made music videos using Headliner. So they've basically taken a song and gone through all the stock video and images and uploaded their own and mashed it together to kind of create music videos, which I thought was kind of cool. Another area of use that is kind of interesting is a lot of students use it for school projects, and a lot of even, and I would think, oh, this is probably just a college level thing, but we've seen even like middle school and potentially younger use it, because this is what's being taught now, right? Like every school, like kids are starting at a young age with iPads, and they have social accounts. So it's kind of like the future people need to learn how to make video. Like at some level, everyone is a video creator now. And it's being taught from a really young age, which kind of creeps me out, but it's kind of interesting. So people are using it to create, instead of saying, hey, here's my like slide deck or my book report, they're actually making a video about the book they read. And so those are kind of interesting uses that we didn't expect. And, we're not like totally focused on creating like an educational video creator, but it's being used for that. And it's kind of fun to see. That's
really cool.
Yeah.
It's funny. It reminds me of the Walt Disney quote. He's like, my first goal is to entertain, and then if they get educated, that's fantastic. And but that's it, right? You're given this really easy tool. And I think when we're thinking about our businesses, I love the tool. I love what it does for video, but I also love the messaging of, hey, how can we make this easier for people? What can we do to make it easier? Because we're always thinking about how we can make it close faster, how we can do this and that. But I think that message of ease of use and grace customer service is probably two most important things these days.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's also like with all the different, there's just like so many ways to create things now using all the different kind of coding things that are out there that make it easy to put together stuff, right? You don't necessarily need like a massive tech team anymore to build some pretty impressive things. But so because of that, there's just more things out there. It's almost like when I kind of think like technology is kind of similar to when Pro Tools became more accessible in music, right? And then musicians could just record at home, and all of a sudden you had like thousands and thousands of home studio musicians putting stuff out there. A lot of it's not great. Like, it's kind of similar in tech. There's just a lot of stuff out there. And so because of that, just being the easiest to use is a huge, huge part of everything. And so that's definitely like the number one focus for us in the rest of this year, is getting out there and just like really honing in on that and making it so easy that it's like, if you don't want to do it, it means you don't really want to promote your podcast, which is fine.
Hey, do you want to use this? Oh no, you hate promoting your podcast? You don't want anyone to listen to your podcast? Maybe yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the messaging is a little rough, but
but okay, so let's talk about it. So you just go to the Headliner app. The pricing is pretty straightforward, and it's pretty inexpensive for how much time it saves you. 10 videos per month, free, unlimited watermarked videos, or $12.95. You get the Pro, and boom, you got a ton of stuff in there. Custom intro, outro videos. Wow. I didn't even know that was on there. you.
Yeah, then you can, Getty. We have a Getty editorial images are in there for you to use.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah. And then also, there's a lot of stuff in there. And then you can save your own templates, upload your own fonts, all that kind of stuff.
Wow. That's just from a workflow standpoint. I'm going to get off this call and go work through our workflow a little bit more. And then that'll be another episode of the Garlic Marketing Show. Awesome, Oliver. Well, very cool. I appreciate everything that you've shared with us today. It's really cool to talk about Headliner and also about growing your business and the importance of growing your business and being easy. Is there any last tidbits that you want to give to the audience before we go?
So one thing I'll say is the best thing you can do to increase your engagement in your videos is to have the main first image be an up-close picture of someone's face, ideally smiling. Those will generally do pretty well compared to like other things you might be trying. So I'd say like just test it out. You don't have to do it on all your posts. Maybe it doesn't fit your style, but if you want to see just for engagement purposes, like try a close-up of your face, your guest's face, that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Yep. Second, make sure that your captions are large enough to be read on the devices that you're sending them to. But other than that, it's kind of just, it's pretty standard. Just creating using video and when you feel it's appropriate and kind of comparing it against other stuff you're doing and just seeing the results. I think they'll speak for themselves.
Very cool. And that's fantastic advice. Thank you. And listeners, if you're not using this and you're doing podcasting, you got to use it. Even if you're not doing podcasting, start to get that strategy down and start to make videos and add this on there. You can go as simple as using something like, Zoom that I'm doing here and then add it on the bottom and start to increase engagement. But if you've used Headliner, do me a favor, if wherever you're watching this, whether on YouTube or on our Facebook page or on the website, comment below and send over some of the videos that you've done. I'd like to see them. And you can promote your podcast on my podcast. Oliver, thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. It's been great.
All right. And thanks for listening. This has been Ian Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show. Cool.